weekly in-depth view of agriculture up close. This is In the Field.
Today I get to introduce you to my veterinarian, Dr. Emily Johnson, a large animal veterinarian here at the Marshfield Vet Clinic. Let's head on in and see what she has in store for today. Hey, Dr. Johnson.
Hey, Jamie. Welcome to Marshfield Vet Clinic.
So, busy day today?
I don't know. It might be.
Okay, well, let's head on back in. We can show you around.
All right.
So, Dr. Johnson, this is kind of your home away from home here at the clinic when you're not cruising around the area in your truck. So, kind of what takes place here to take us through the setting we see?
Yeah, so right now we're in the back of the clinic in the large animal section. So this is what we call our haul-in facility. So we have chute and tub and alleyway. We have a stall for the equine patients, and sometimes we put other things in there. We have, and then we have stocks to restrain our equine patients for dentals or lacerations, preg checking, those kind of things. So,
when did you get the bug to be a veterinarian and specifically a large animal field?
So I was probably 3 years old, and I grew up on a beef farm. And so we had called the vet, one of the vets from here, actually, Dr. Lloyd Glow, out, and we had a prolapse cow. And I used to have a little stock tank that I stood on by the chute and, bossed people around. And I asked my dad, I said, what's he doing here? And he says, well, he's the cow doctor. He's going to fix the cow. And I told Dad then, I said, well, I want to be a cow doctor.
Now you're a part owner in the clinic that you grew up in. Take us through kind of the day in the life of a large animal veterinarian in this area. Today you're on call. So what does on call mean?
Sure. So we try to have a vet available literally 24 hours a day for those kind of emergency calls. So like sometimes I have some things scheduled ahead of time, like so-and-so wants you to come out to the farm and they have a cow off feed, or want to do 20 preg checks today, those kind of things, or we check bulls' feet, those kind of things that we'll put on our call book. But we put those, we're like, okay, we'll give you a call when we can meet you up there, leaving room for, like yesterday morning I got at 8 o'clock I had a calving call, so I had to go do that. So I just literally kind of waiting for the phone to ring, putting my day together. Sometimes you'll have 14 calls in a day, sometimes you'll have 3. You just never know, and that's part of emergency work. It's no different than the emergency room with people. Some days it's packed full, some days it's not. So we just truly, I wake up in the morning and don't know what I'm going to get into that day. So
let's talk about the challenges. You're a young woman in the industry, you're raising a young family, so that's got to play a big part of it. But what maybe are some of the big hurdles that you have to face day to day?
So yeah, I mean, I'm pretty fortunate that the industry has transitioned over more to women. So this area especially, there's been some really great women vets ahead of me, so they're kind of used to that still. Yes, absolutely. I certainly still get some looks, especially when I first started, the little blonde girl pulling up in the truck to pull my calf, what's she gonna do, but it's kind of, and with time, I've kind of worn some of them down. And then it's all about, as far as like family life and working on it, I mean, we try the best we can for work-life balance. I have a great supporting family around me, like my husband and my parents and everything to help with the baby, because especially right now, we're a little short-staffed, so I'm working a lot more hours than even before. So I mean, it's just, and when you're off, you try to be off and make the most of that time as you can. So
let's talk about the radius, because you're not just covering the Marshall area. You're traveling all over this central southwestern area of the Ozarks, and that probably stems from the shortage of vets.
Yes, yeah, it really does. I mean, and mileage wise, I mean, it's probably a 60-mile radius around Marshfield is kind of where we're going from there. So, yeah.
So, Dr. Johnson, you are on call today, so let's hop in the truck and see what's on the docket.
All right, let's go.
So the truck is your office on the days you're on call, and we're headed to do a preg check down the road. What do you anticipate to be in stock when we get there?
So this producer has a handful of heifers or cows, I'm not sure, that have not calved, and they should have already. So he kind of wants to know where they stand and see kind of whether he needs to roll them into the spring herd or whether they are having some issues and just need to go, or what their deal is there.
So what did we learn about these cows?
So these cows were open, so they were problem breeders as the producer suspected. So they're gonna head on down the road to market. And I actually just got a phone call about a horse down the road that's colic, so we're gonna head that way.
Okay.
So after talking with the owner, what we found out was this horse, who's normally a pretty vigorous eater, did not come up to feed this morning. So obviously anytime a horse goes off feed, like red flags, yeah. And he was kind of kicking at his belly a little bit this morning. So prior to calling us, the owner went ahead and gave him some Banamine in the vein, which is a pain reliever to kind of get him settled down. And then we got out here. On my, physical, we always check. So obviously our first concern is colic in these, and that can be life-threatening in a horse. So a horse cannot throw up. So if they get a stomach ache, that's how it's life-threatening. I mean, it can kill them. So we went ahead and I always do the vitals first. So I check the heart rate, which his heart rate is normal, so that's a very good sign. I also listen to all of his gut sounds, and his guts are now moving normal. And then I'm gonna check his temperature and kind of see his color is good. Everything right now, he seems to be not throwing any red flags, but he does seem just a little bit depressed. So we're gonna kind of keep looking at that. I'm gonna take his temperature here and we'll check that too. Okay.
So you checked the temperature, you checked his heart rate, and so far everything seems good. Next step is?
Yeah, so we went and checked his stool sample that he had left in the barn earlier, and there just wasn't as much there as we would like, and it was kind of dry and tacky, and his gut sounds on the left side are just a little on the slow side.
Okay.
So given that everything else seems pretty normal, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to pass a nasogastric tube, which is this tube here, means that we're going to go through the nose, and then he swallows it, it goes down the throat, and I'm gonna put some oil into his stomach. First of all, passing the tube, make sure that he doesn't have any reflux, meaning that he doesn't need to get any pressure off. And second of all, then we'll put some oil down in there, and that just kind of helps, basically it's kind of a laxative to kind of help move everything on out of there, because it seems like maybe he's just a little bit colicky, a little bit of dry colic going on. So.
Okay. So you've had him swallow the tube.
Yep.
Take me through the kind of process of that and its overall purpose.
Yeah, so I went ahead and we passed, the tube goes through their nasal cavity, and there are two cavities, there's an upper and a lower. So it goes through the lower to the back of his throat, and then he swallows it, and I put the oil down. And so we've already done that part, and we checked and nothing's coming out of the tube, so we're ready to go ahead and pull the tube.
Okay.
Oh, I know. Sorry.
Makes me want to sneeze.
Right? Him too.
Dr. Johnson, thanks so much for letting us hang out with you today. Before I go, I think there's some first round vaccinations for my cats back at home that I need to take with me.
Yeah, I've got them right here.
Okay, thanks.